You're live.
Hello. Welcome to the THC Show. I hope you have your THC ready, and I hope you're ready for some THC. THC as in the active ingredient in cannabis, and THC as in truth, hope, and change. That's what we kind of talk about on this show, because we are still in need of some truth, some hope, and some change. On the show today, we'll have 8 out of 10 Glenn. We'll have a visit with the Healing Wave CSP new RV. Very, very thrilled to announce that we have replaced the other RV after the firebombing, and we're in our 4th day today of using our new RV, and we're going to go have a look at that at some point in the show. We had a raffle to try to raise some money for the CSP and for what we're doing here. I thought it was quite successful. We raised about $550. Thank you so much to everybody that took part in that. I'm sorry that you didn't win. For those of you who didn't win, Fiona Doherty and Jill Laviolette were our prize winners, not necessarily in that order. And they were very happy to be getting their advent calendar. And if you wanted one and you didn't get one, you can get it at ediblecalendars.com. And they're available there, I guess, for the next few days, but not for much. We have shipped out those advent calendars to the winning parties, and so they should be getting those fairly soon. In fact, they should be getting them tomorrow, just in time for starting the whole run up to Christmas of getting all the things that you're going to get in those advent calendars. We're coming up on December. It is winter here in Vancouver. Our weekly weather report is going to involve snow today, and it gets really cold here on the wet coast. There's something about the moisture content in the air with the cold that makes it a biting cold. And for people that are on the streets, the problem is that they get wet. And once you're wet in the cold weather, there's really no escape from it. And it causes a lot of people to be ill and not feel well. And so what we're doing here with the CSP Healing Wave for I don't know how many years in a row now, but I think every year that we've done it, we've had some sort of a donation drive to help people that need it in the area. And really happy to be announcing that we're going to have another session of Tubes and Dubes.
3rd year.
The 3rd year of Tubes and Dubes, which is awesome. And we've got a whole bunch of socks we've been handing out already, but the actual event doesn't happen until December 21st. But we have a bunch of socks, and it's cold and wet out there, so we're going to make sure that people get them as they need them. We're not going to make them wait. A friend of mine had a present bought for her by her cousin, was telling me yesterday, but it's a cake pan, and it's a double-sized cake pan. And she was really excited to be making a double-sized cake for once for the family. But her cousin refuses to give it to her until Christmas. She wants to wrap it up and put it under the tree. And I'm sure she means well. But, you know, the whole idea of Christmas is to make each other feel good, is to try to make each other happy. It comes at a good time of year to do that when the weather is bad and the days are short and a lot of people are depressed. And so it's a great time of year to be helping each other feel good. I think that the cousin should have given her the pan right away when she wanted it, and then she wouldn't be unhappy until December 25th, when she can all of a sudden be happy that she got what she should have had a month before. So I'm not sure why I'm telling you that, but you know, it's a funny time of year, and it's really all about just trying to make each other feel happy and feel good. And I think that's the spirit of Christmas. It's the spirit of giving. This is Giving Tuesday today, by the way. So if you want to help us out with the Tubes and Dubes, we would really appreciate that. Right now it's coming out of our pocket. We've raised a couple $100, but there's a long way to go to get on par with what it's all costing. And so if you want an opportunity to give back, to feel like you're helping out people that really could use it at a very tough time of year, then please go to the GoFundMe. I'm sure Glenn's going to put that up in the chat.
The link is in the title.
The link is in the title already.
Thank you.
And help us help people. It's a wonderful thing. We love helping people, but we can't do it all by ourselves, and we need lots of other people to help us help people. And you can join our team. That would be great for sure. We're still before the courts. As you know, we've had 7 appearances before the courts, although none of it was any appearance that allowed for any exchange of information other than what is the next date that we're going there. But this is the big one coming up. We finally have a pre-trial conference where we'll be able to tell our side of the story, and the Crown can explain why they think it's in the public interest to try to punish people that have been helping with the public health emergency for almost 6 years now, very selflessly. That's going to be an interesting day in court. This is a continuing exposure of the corruption that exists in our country, where we have demonstrated beyond any doubt for years now that what we're doing in providing high-dose edibles to people and easy access to cannabis helps people get through withdrawal, helps them get off the hard drugs, and that is the best harm reduction option that there is available to people. And so we get to go to court because the VPD thought that maybe they should do their job on behalf of Canada and try to put a stop from anybody that would threaten the cartel's high prices. It's absolutely disgusting, to say the least. It's already caused a lot of repercussions here, and we'll see where it goes from here. We'll see what the courts have to say about whether they think the Crown is in the right to try to punish good people that are just trying to help out during a public health emergency of overdose deaths. How deep does the corruption go? Does it permeate throughout the courts as well? Or is it just at the upper levels of the federal government and then kowtowed to by everybody at the lower levels all the way down to the municipal government? Really, the city of Vancouver should be allowing us into a storefront to help the people that we're helping. This is an atrocity, absolutely. They have the power to do that, but they're afraid of the federal government, and they just want to follow the cartel's directives because cartels are dangerous. And I'm sure the city understands just how dangerous Mr. Trudeau and all of his greedy, wealthy friends are about protecting their interests and not allowing low barrier access to cannabis, even though it's the poor people and it's the sick people that are really in need here. Cannabis legalization, for the rich and for those people that don't need it, is not what we were seeking. It's not what we were trying to get. We in the cannabis legalization movement looked after the sick people first. That was the whole idea, was have medical dispensaries, storefronts that people could feel safe to walk into and be provided with the medicine that they need and some guidance on how to use that. The sick people, the poor people, they're the ones who were harmed the most by prohibition in the first place, and they're the ones who are continuing to be harmed the most by so-called legalization, absolute fake legalization. If legalization doesn't help out the people that need it the most, then it's a fake legalization, and it's certainly not what we were fighting for at all. The fact that it's now supposedly legal and that there's actually hundreds of cannabis stores across Canada, well, that's just an indication of how it never should have been illegal in the first place. I mean, if it's not dangerous now to the point where Canadians can walk in and get themselves some cannabis, well, it was never dangerous enough in the past for the government to be using the criminal law to try to prevent access to free citizens to a plant that has a history of helping people for millennia here. All the lies and the reefer madness that happened about 100 years ago that prompted the Canadian government coming up in another month and a half. In the middle of January, we're going to meet the 100-year mark of this disgusting attempt to prohibit cannabis from free people in Canada. It is long, long overdue that this was stopped. There was never any justification for it in the first place other than the lies that were being told by William Randolph Hearst and other people that were Harry Anslinger and a whole bunch of other people that were out there just pounding away that cannabis was this terribly evil, harmful substance that was driving people completely insane. It was causing all sorts of violence in the community, was highly addictive, was a scourge to young people. All those lies that they told way back in the day, back in the 20s and 30s, 100 years ago. is what carried the day, is what's carrying it still today. The stigmatization of people using cannabis continues big time. It is absolutely disgusting. Young people are the pawns in all of this. They're the ones who, the government says, oh, well, we have to have strict regulations and controls on cannabis because, oh my God, the children, we must save the children. Well, it's prohibition that's harming the children. It always has been. Prohibition is what leads to harder drugs. Prohibition is what leads to gang life. Prohibition is what leads to so many broken families and people who have had their lives ruined. All for what? For a plant. For a plant that produces flowers that, when dried, combusted, and inhaled, provide a sense of well-being, provide a sense of love, provide a connection to nature, to each other, to the ethics that we've lost, it seems. All of those things are what's provided by the cannabis plant. And there's none of the other nonsense that they said was there. There's no violence. You see me smoking this cannabis every time I do the show, almost. Never seen a violent outburst as a result. Never seen me do anything crazy. And that's the same for all the millions and millions of cannabis consumers that are in the world right now. Cannabis is the love drug. It's the peace drug. It's the drug that you use when you're stressed out, and it's going to help you feel better. It's going to get you back to calm and back to grounding. Not only was there never any justification for prohibiting it, because all that there was that caused that was a bunch of lies that any government doing their due diligence would have been able to figure out in a heartbeat. But governments don't do their due diligence on helping the people out that they're elected to help. As we know, we live in a corrupt world where governments are put into power by very elite financial parasites who just want to continue to exploit and monopolize all of the people, and they use government to do that. It is absolutely disgusting. It is the antithesis of what government should be all about. Government should be there to protect the people, to educate the people, to help the people, because they're being paid by the people to do those things. But we live in a very corrupt society where the powers that be, the real financial powers that be, have allowed for this structure of democracy and have exploited it and used it for their own capital gains and their own ability to control people. It is highly disgusting. It is really time that it all stopped. And I don't know how you stop it. I only know that the biggest example of how we're not free and that we're being abused by these people is the attempt to prohibit us from accessing a plant that really helps us so much. And so I think that if we all fight for low barrier access, we will have at least stepped up the first rung of the ladder that could lead us to the top where freedom resides. Without it, we don't get there at all. That's the first rung of the ladder. You can't ever arrive at a place where you think you're free if you're not free to access Mother Nature's greatest gift to us, which is the cannabis plant. So, the sacred herb. So many times in my life I've been feeling stressed, and I just think, oh, if only I could smoke a joint. And then I smoke a joint, and then I don't feel so stressed. What a terrible thing. I wish some government employee would come in and slap me around for doing that and take my weed away from me and maybe even put me in a cage so I can't get any more and do that again. Why? It's just nuts. It is just nuts. So, we're going to continue the fight. We're going to continue to lobby for low barrier access. We're going to continue to not settle for a fake legalization that maintains super high artificial prices to make a bunch of greedy billionaires even richer. This is not what I am going to be settling for. I hope you're not going to settle for it either. I hope we're all going to continue to band together and do our part to bring real freedom to the people of Canada, North America, and the world. Human beings have a natural right to not be bullied. And this right has been taken away from us by the very people that we pay to protect that right. This has gone too far. If you're not upset about it, you should be. Please get upset about it. Look into it. Realize the harms that are being done, not just to society, but to you personally. How much of your hard-earned money is going to prop up an immoral system of attempting to prohibit this plant? Because our governments are spending just a shit ton of the money that we give them, out of the money that we earn, to try to stop people from accessing this plant. And they're still doing it. Well, they don't mind if you access it through them and their stores at their high prices, cannabis that really isn't effective for most people. They like that. That's fine. But for people who need to get it that can't afford it, for people who need to get it for medical reasons that are serious, for people that are addicted to opioids and would love to have a source, a safe, easy source of high-dose edibles to get through withdrawal and get off these things. Those are the people that our governments should be serving, but they're not. So please join me in our quest for low-barrier access cannabis in storefronts. I mean, actually, you know, we've had a really good ruling from the Warnocky, Siemens, and Martin case out of Saskatchewan Supreme Court, where they've ruled that Canadians have a constitutional right to be able to walk into a storefront and access cannabis like they access everything else that they want to get. And Canadians have a constitutional right to have no limits or caps put on the potential potency of the cannabis that you would be able to access there. The government thinks they're protecting people by only allowing 10 milligram edibles for sale in their stores, and they're not protecting people at all. I mean, sure, 10 milligrams is probably the right dose for most people that have never tried cannabis. That's about where you start. You start there, and then you move slowly up until you find what works for you. If you've got serious pain, there's a pretty good chance you're going to need in the hundreds of milligrams of edibles. If you're addicted to opioids and you're wanting to get through withdrawal, 10 milligrams isn't going to help you at all. If you think you can go into a night of no longer doing the drugs that you've been doing for all this time that you can't get off of without going through withdrawal, don't try to do it with a 10 milligram edible. That's the 419 warning, by the way, so if you haven't got some THC rolled up, well, now's a good time to get her done. You got 1 minute. Can you roll a joint in 1 minute? I know I can. And then we'll take part in this ceremony of ours that has been permeating our culture for a very long time, and that is that we recognize 420 and we celebrate it and we mark it by imbibing in THC and cannabis products. And speaking of 420, we're going to talk to Glenn about this momentarily. He's coming in here now because it's 420. Well, not quite. I'm looking at my clock there. It's almost 420. So Glenn Wells, of course, has moved from not only being my 420 guest, but he's also now the producer of the show and doing a fine job of that, although he's got to work the camera, change the angles and all that stuff at the same time as he's got to get on his chair and get into space, into spot, and we can talk about it. Happy 420.
Happy 420. Yeah.
Everybody, and so,
Right, 420. We did it perfectly. Good.
We did. I want to thank Gibson's Glass for providing me with a bunch of these.
Oh, that's sweet.
This is the only one that doesn't work for me.
Oh.
He sent me 7 of them. 5 of them have this much thicker stock to it. And that's just for me because I'm a klutz and I break things.
That's for the really big joints.
Yeah, that's for bigger joints than I roll.
Like here.
Not as big as Dana Larson. No, it's going to slide right in there.
Look at that.
Yeah,
Oh,
it almost works.
Not too bad.
Oh, then go ahead.
Oh, really? Oh,
Sure,
wow. I get to try out a mustache.
Yeah,
Oh, there you go.
mustache
Thank
too.
you very much.
420. Light 'em if you got 'em.
Yeah, spark when you got them.
So we've made our decision. We're going to have a 420 protest celebration event at Thornton Park coming up next year on April 20th. So be free vendor spots for everybody. There will be an opportunity to secure a spot by donation. It's up to you. We will do that because some people don't have the ability or the desire to be fighting over spots early in the day. So we will have that going on, but primarily most of the spots will just be for free. We think we can handle the cost of the stage and the porta potties and maybe the t-shirts for volunteers through sponsors that will have their advertising done from the stage and on our poster and that sort of thing. So if you're looking for an old school OG down to earth 420 protest, Thornton Park will be the place to go this year. There's some other 420 events going on around the city, but we're going to do ours at Thornton Park. I like Thornton Park. I think it's a great, peaceful place for people to gather and have some wonderful times together. It's been a great park to do that for a number of years now. So
It's a nice flat park.
there you go. Now you know.
It's a big park, too.
It's a big park. There's lots of shade there, although shade usually isn't an issue for 420.
No.
But it sure is for Cannabis Day and BC
But
Bud
if it's
Day.
a rainy day, we're going to give some shelter
A
from
little
the
bit
rain.
of shelter from the rain as well.
Right,
And there'll be
so-
a lot of tents and booths up that'll have some shelter for people as
Yep.
well.
Yep.
It almost never rains.
It almost never rains.
Touch wood.
Yeah.
We've had a
I can
couple.
remember a couple of
been a couple.
muddy fields. Yeah.
I've been to 25 420s in a row.
Wow. 25. This will be the 25th
Yeah.
or the 26th?
25th.
This will be the
This will be the
25th.
25th.
Wow.
And
Wow.
it almost has never rained in all of that time. There's just a couple of times where we had some rain with Cypress Hill. It started to rain right about 4:20 or 5, closer to 5 o'clock. But and it wasn't a harsh rain. It wasn't bad. I think that the ganja gods appreciate what we're doing here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, I just thought of a nice little button for you for that.
Oh, yeah?
We're going to get Fred Bell. He's got these weed buttons.
Right.
It's a bud, right? Have
Yeah.
you seen it?
I
you
have
got one,
I
right?
have one.
Well,
Yeah,
we're
I
going
have
to get him, and we'll put 25 on it.
25.
All right, yeah. Be a little marker. Because when you go and get blood 25 times, they give you a little blood drop that says 25, and you can pin it on your chest, right? So maybe we should get Fred to make one of those that says 25. And
Yeah.
there you go.
Maybe.
Did you hear that, Fred? I'm sure you'll be checking out the show eventually.
And we've had.
His shop is Beyond 420 in Air Creek.
Yeah.
So thank you, Fred. Yeah.
I love Fred. Hell of a funny guy. Great activist in Alberta there. Alberta's created some great activists
yeah.
over the years.
Yeah.
I love that province and what they've
Calgary
done.
Cannabis Club,
Calgary Cannabis Club
Yeah.
has been awesome. And,
Gordon, and the
we lost Keith Fagan
highest
this
fun
year.
guys.
And, Keith was an amazing activist that drove so much there. I loved Keith and what he did. So, shout out to the Alberta activists for sure.
Yeah. We sure need them.
We need activists everywhere. We need everybody to be an activist that cares. And then maybe we could really do this. I don't know. We got a whole lot of people that we're fighting that really care a lot about how much money they can make.
Yeah.
And they're working real hard to continue that. And the problem is it's at the expense of the people that really need cannabis the most. And we can't let that happen.
No.
So what's new in your world?
Not much yet.
Snow.
Snow, yeah, we've got snow
We got a
coming.
long drive into the snow.
Yeah, I got a long drive back into the snow
Yeah,
too.
maybe a longer drive back into the snow as a whole bunch is settled in the meantime.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're getting snow where you are in North America or around the world. Not in Australia, apparently. Christmas in Australia does not include snow.
No, it's summer there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's opposite of
Yeah,
us, right?
Yeah, I don't know if they have turkey.
It's
or,
not really winter here until December 21st.
Well, I
either.
know, but
We
look
got
out that
snow.
door.
Yeah.
You look out the door, or even without the snow, it was so cold yesterday, last night. It was just such a biting cold. It was
Really,
like,
eh?
This is winter. I don't care what they say. Fall would never behave like this.
But
Only
if we
winter
call it
behaves
winter,
like
it'd be
that.
too long. You know, like we don't get rid of winter until March.
I
So,
know.
yeah,
And that's the way it is. Here we are. November, December, January, February, March.
It's supposed to
You
be
know,
like
5
3
months.
months.
I know it's only supposed to be 3, but this is the Great White North up here. And
Well, no, really.
I don't know.
We're
We're at the bottom end of
we're
the
the
Great
Great
White
White South, yeah. I can just hear the people up north going, "What is he saying that for?"
Yeah. You think they think they got snow down there? They think it's cold down there?
People in Mackenzie, Prince George, Bella
I
Bella,
know. Or Northern Ontario.
Northern Ontario too. Right?
I got a couple of my staff originally from Northern Ontario, and they're in shorts and short sleeve. They don't. It doesn't affect them at all.
No.
This isn't cold.
No.
But I'm from here, and this is cold to me.
Yeah, it's you are your climate, I guess.
And now I'm old, so the cold really affects me even more.
Well,
I was shivering this morning when I had to go out and
they
move the
have
RV.
long johns, you know.
I have long johns.
And you're still shivering.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay, all right.
I got 3 shirts on. I got long
They have
johns.
battery-powered ones too.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I need some of those.
Yes, check them out. Little 9-volt battery. sits in your pocket.
You just reminded me of something.
Oh, there you go. That'll keep you warm.
Just a strange little story.
Good.
Where I was standing there with a pack of matches in my pocket.
Oh.
A friend of mine passed away at that moment.
Okay.
I found out shortly thereafter.
Yeah.
But at that moment, I had what felt like an electrical charge start in my toes and work its way kind of slowly up my being.
Yeah.
And when it got to my pants, it lit the pack of matches on fire.
Wow.
So all of a sudden, I got smoke billowing out of my pocket, and
Wow.
here's this pack of matches that was lit on fire.
Wow. You didn't get burned?
I didn't get burned.
Not much. You got a little burn.
I think it was hot in my pocket there for a little bit.
Yeah, because it's fire.
But it was just one of those strange things. We live in a very strange world.
Oh.
You know, there's a lot of interesting synchronicities and things.
Yeah.
What was I watching yesterday? Anton Petrov last night about the one of the constants in nature.
And what is that?
The fine constant. Well, there's laws of nature.
Yeah, we know the laws. Yeah.
Like the speed of light.
Yeah.
You know, the force of gravity. All these things. There's equations for these. And physicists over the years have come up with some of these things that they've discovered that are these laws, and they're constants. They're called constants. And this one is a very strange one. I'm probably not going to do a good job of explaining it at all. But what started happening in the late 80s was they were discovering that when they were measuring some of the differences in the quantum world with atoms and stuff, that this one number just kept coming up. The number is essentially it's 0.003 blah 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 blah, but it also translates into it's roughly into 1 over 137.
Okay.
So 1/137th is a thing, and it's a thing that is all over the place in nature. It just keeps coming up when they're measuring stuff. It's like either it's 1/137th less than what its counterpart is, or more, depending on what it is. But it is reoccurring all over the place, and it is the greatest mystery in physics. Many physicists have lived and died with that problem front and center. Mr. Feynman, for example.
137 keeps coming up?
We don't know.
Yeah,
we don't know.
It hasn't been very prominent in my life.
No, because you're not a physicist.
But true.
But for physicists, it is the prominent thing. It is the number one mystery that they've got going on. They don't understand how that can be or why that would be.
Maybe it's not.
Well,
right? They never think about maybe it's not.
Maybe it's not
right?
what?
Maybe it's not supposed to be 137. Maybe they're chasing something that's not.
No, it just kept coming up. It just kept coming up.
Yeah, but maybe there's nothing to it. It just keeps coming up.
Well, there is something to it, because if it was a couple numbers higher, like 2 or 3 out of I think you know. Or a couple numbers less, then there would not be life in this universe. The atoms couldn't bond together. The suns wouldn't produce heat. We would be living in a dead universe if that number was out just a little bit on either end. It's really spooky. I mean, Einstein talked about it, that the whole quantum field thing or quantum space is very, very spooky. How all this stuff works.
Well, we know there's lots of it because we've seen those pictures from that Webb telescope.
And so now what they're doing is they're checking to see, and they've got a couple that they've checked within our Milky Way galaxy that are within like 60 light years away from us. And they're checking to see if that is a universal constant that is present in other solar systems. And then they're going to extrapolate that technique and have a look at some of the stuff that James Webb is finding way back millions of years ago.
I know,
and see if this is something that was introduced into our universe when the universe came into being. It's just so weird.
It's so big out there, and we're so small.
We could be living in a simulation.
We think we're so big, but we're really like, you know?
Yeah, it's all comparative.
Yeah, but
Einstein said everything is relative.
Even in an airplane, everything's small.
So the universe is pretty big, right?
Yeah.
13 billion years of light traveling at 186,000 miles per second is how big the known universe is at this time. That's pretty flippin' huge.
That's big.
Quanta is extremely tiny.
Okay.
So an atom.
Yeah.
So you're made up of a trillion single-celled organisms working in unison to make a human body, and a whole bunch of bacteria and viruses that are all involved in that as well.
Oh, that's a good choice.
So you have a trillion single cells working together in combination, to make this multicellular organism. Each one of those cells, roughly, now there's bigger ones and smaller ones.
Yeah.
The female egg is the biggest single cell in the human body, and the male sperm is the smallest single cell in the human body.
Wow.
But an average cell combines about 1 trillion atoms.
Oh, I see.
So you're made up of 1 trillion atoms.
Oh,
That's a lot.
that's a lot of.
So atoms are pretty small. So atoms are made up of things.
Yeah.
Protons and electrons and neutrons. Those things are also really, really small.
Uh-huh.
Within the space that atom takes up by the vibrating and swirling motion of these tinier bits,
Yeah.
those tinier bits are compared to a couple of small church mice in a huge cathedral.
Oh, wow.
So they're really small.
Yeah, they're really small, yeah.
Those things are made up of other things, the quanta. And they're really small.
Okay.
And they get really, really, really small.
Like a flea?
So the question is,
Yeah.
are you closer in size to the smallest particle in your body or to the known universe?
Oh, probably the universe.
Nope.
No? Okay.
No.
I don't know.
Yes.
Because the universe is way bigger.
Yes.
Sorry. Your cell, it's
Yeah.
still just a trillion.
Well, it's not the
right?
cell. It's the atoms that make up the cell, and
Yeah,
then
but
it's the
still.
quanta that make up
Which
the
are
atoms.
atoms,
And we are
planets,
so
yeah.
far removed like we are super huge compared
Yeah.
to those things. We are massive compared to those things. But in comparison to the universe, we are extremely small. We're
Yeah.
tiny, tiny, tiny.
Well, they just show pictures of the Earth as we had that Artemis rocket going around the moon, and it's just a little blue ball.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. And get a little farther away.
From the moon, they were showing us what we still look like, right? And it didn't look flat. It was this
No,
little
it's
blue
probably not
marble.
flat.
That term, the big blue marble, is pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. of what it
Except
looks
it's not that big when you're far away looking at it.
No,
I guess I'm going to light one of these things now.
sure. That's what I brought you.
Yeah.
The purple punch.
And they say that there's
Is
a
it
planet
punchy?
out there that's completely covered in weed.
Oh,
Did you hear that?
probably.
Probably. Who
Probably.
knows? I don't know.
I had a theory that maybe this planet was a collection of all that's out there.
Maybe.
Because we have different species of bugs,
We sure do.
animals, plants. It's all on this one. Even in the water, we have different stuff, right?
You think you're going to find similar, but not as plentiful of other
Maybe.
things on other planets?
Or
Maybe.
I don't know.
Who knows, eh?
Who knows? Yeah. Why do we keep getting visited?
Do we?
Yes.
Okay.
Come on.
I don't know.
Come on.
I don't know.
I'm sure they
Nobody's
do.
ever come and visited me.
Well, we got Men in Black.
Sure. But
Go on. I think I saw a spaceship when I was a kid.
Did you?
Yes, and it was in Mississauga, and I was living at 1208 Shadeland, and I think
so
I
you
saw.
don't think that 50 years ago there could have been technology that was way ahead of its time, owned by billionaires on this planet in secret labs on secret
anything
islands,
is possible.
putting together similar things to what we have today, but they were just way ahead of their time, and this is what UFOs might be? I really don't know. I don't know. I think that I don't know. That's what I think is I don't know.
I just think if that universe is so big, then we would be we can't think that we're the only ones.
Well, we're the only humans
Yes.
from planet Earth. I would think that.
Well,
Are there other
might be
bipedal
humanoids.
multicellular organisms that are intelligent, that have opposing thumbs, maybe even,
Maybe.
that have been able to manipulate their world and create plastics
it
and
could be
metals?
way ahead of us.
They could be way. Well, there's billions of years involved here.
Yeah,
I don't think we're going to annihilate ourselves.
Oh no.
In the
Well,
next,
we could. We could.
We could.
Yeah.
But I don't think we're going to. I
North
think
Korea
human
just said
beings.
they want to have the biggest, strongest nuclear collection, in the world. They just said that a couple of days on the news. That Ming, whatever his name is. Yeah.
Don't know. It's not Kim Jong Il anymore. It's
No,
his
it's
son.
son, yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know about any of that. I mean, we could, unfortunately, and that's a big task to annihilate 8 billion human beings on the planet.
Yeah.
But it could happen.
Well,
It could be done not by us. It could be done by some asteroid coming out of the sun that we can't spot, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden, kaboom, and nuclear winter hits planet Earth and all life dies out. I mean, it could happen.
Yeah.
But I'm imagining that it doesn't happen. That for the next few hundred years, thousands maybe, human beings continue to evolve. They continue to evolve their technologies and what have you. Mm-hmm. What is this planet going to be like, in 100, 200, 1,000 years from now?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Look how it's changed.
It was always
the last 1,000 years.
The
last
right?
1,000. I know.
The last 50 years.
Yeah, well, 1900s
50 years ago, life was simple here.
Yeah.
Life was simple and easy.
50 years ago?
50 years ago.
1970s?
1970s, yeah. Back in the 70s, it was a lot simpler.
Yeah.
We didn't have cell phones.
No.
There was a rotary dial phone. We did have cars, but they weren't supercars.
We got 13 channels of shit on
Yeah,
the TV
exactly. Life was a lot more simpler. The government wasn't spying on us through our TVs and through our phones and all the rest of it.
No.
The big corporations hadn't become that sophisticated yet to be able to really manipulate us. But now we're there. Holy smokes, we're there.
Yeah.
I mean, we had glimpses of it. There was, Get Smart, for example.
Yeah.
So there's this show that talked about having a phone in your shoe and all these other gadgets and things.
Or her touching her ear and talking to
right.
Starfleet Command, right?
Yep.
And now
so
we
there was glimpses of this stuff.
Right, and them using the tablets to monitor how the Enterprise was doing. Well, we have tablets like that, right?
So we started to get some glimpses into it for sure.
Yeah.
Then there was the movie with Will Smith.
Or did the show?
Yeah, some of both. I think
right?
I think it's a natural evolution of things, and I think that it is actually inspired by these things.
That's my view about landing on the moon. If they did or didn't, it still inspired the human race to go beyond what they were thinking at that time, because some of us thought that they did, and some of us thought that they didn't. But it's still the ones that they did. It's inspired. Like, hey, maybe I could do something else, right? So, yeah. Yeah, we can go on to a lot about inspiring people.
Yeah, we don't live in a simple time anymore. I don't know that I would want to have a young child brought into this world anymore. What's ahead for them? But that's just my own pessimism based on my life.
And our parents probably said the same thing
before
we were born. I don't know. We want to bring it.
Certainly, generation after generation for a long way back has been disconnected from the previous one and not appreciated by the previous one. I was watching a program about this, and I mean, some of the comments that were made by some of the luminaries back, or the journalists, whatever, back in the 16, 17, 1800s, you could just transpose them onto today. These young people these days, they're constantly distracted. They have no sense of ethics and morals or work ethic and blah, blah, blah.
I doubt it.
And very, very similar comments coming down from the previous generation over all these different generations.
Uh-huh.
It's part of how our species continues to improve, I think.
And we have
it's nature.
From cavemen to where we are today, right?
Yeah. So, not much else to talk about.
No. There's no events coming up. We got court on December the 13th.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about that. 222 Main Street, the pre-trial conference. We get to talk about these things. That'll be great. Please come if you can.
Yep.
It's been awesome to have people there in the court with us, so that when we're done, a number of people stand up and walk out.
It's great.
And this time you'll be able to see more than just the setting of a date. This is going to be interesting. We've got disclosure from the Crown. Disgusting amount of money that they've been wasting for well over a year to try to put together a case against us.
Yeah.
Money that we could have used to help the neighborhood way better than we have. All of this is just absolutely disgusting. In there, I am profiled by the police.
Yeah.
When they pull up my name, they get a profile on me, and what it says is that I'm pro-marijuana and I'm anti-cop.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm really disturbed by that.
Don't let any of that anger show during your pre-trial, because they can say, "Oh, there it is, right there."
Yeah, there it is, right there. He's anti-cop.
Right?
I'm anti-cop's profiling me. I'll tell you that.
All right, but yeah,
I'm anti.
I know it's something,
I know.
but I just
I appreciate that.
Yeah, because he can say, "There it is." Right?
Yeah.
Right? He's mad because we called him this.
Yeah, he's mad because we said he was mad.
Yeah.
That has
Right.
put my life at risk.
And let people know that too. That it's 2 weeks today, so the
Yep.
show may be a little late on that because we started at 2
Probably
o'clock.
not.
You think we can get it done in 2 hours?
No, we don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know. We don't know. It might be
I
late.
would put it out there, yeah, just in case.
We'll see what we
just
do.
in case, right? Because
Maybe Glenn will come out at 4
I'll come out,
o'clock
let you guys
and
know
start
what's
something.
going on. Yeah, start
And
something.
then just bring your phone back in there. And
No, and Glenn be arrested, maybe fined or something. Phone taken away for sure.
Yeah, don't do it.
No, I don't
do
think
it.
so. No.
Don't do it.
No, maybe go in little spy camera glasses or something. I don't know. No, that's a trouble. That's a lot of trouble.
I guess also a big shout out to Nicole, or Nikki, it's Nicole,
Yeah.
who allowed us to have what was her dad's RV that was
Yeah.
a fairly close match to what we had. And at probably a price that is lower than what she could have got for it. It's only got 49,000 miles on it, but it is 43 years old.
Yeah.
But shout out to her for that. And they brought it down from Kelowna and made that trip.
Yeah.
And then I brought it from Chilliwack to here. We're pretty happy to have it. We've taken some extra security precautions. There's several of them. And one of them is that I'm not leaving it overnight here.
No.
You know,
It goes away.
one night I did park it across from the police station, 1 block up, because there were spots available, but that's only going to happen on a Sunday evening probably. Other than that, I drive it about a kilometer and a half away from here.
Yeah.
And park it overnight and then bring it back in the morning. It's a little bit of a hassle, but so far so good, touch wood.
Yeah.
And
it's only a hassle during the winter time because in the summer and the spring it's not going to be
for
so
me
bad.
to get up that early and have to move RVs around, that's a hassle.
Okay. Okay.
And the real hassle is securing a spot.
Yeah.
So I get up at 7:30.
Yeah.
I quickly look out the door there. The spot is usually there, has been all 4 of these days. I then go and get my car from across from the police station.
Yeah.
I bring it back and I put it in those spots. I park it in such a way with the pylon and everything that there's enough room for the RV. And so far, so good.
Yep.
But I am anticipating that one of these days there's going to be cars parked there. I won't be able to do that. And then I'm not sure what we're going to
Move it in front. You'll have to move it up here.
Well, but these shots are usually taken too. That's a big machine.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying one day there may not be a parking spot for
The
us.
gantry gods are on your side.
They are.
They are. Okay.
It could happen, but it might not happen.
They've kept it. Yeah, they've kept it free for you so far, so it's working out. So
Yeah.
we got to thank them, and let's hope it continues.
Cross your fingers for us.
Yes, yeah.
And get involved, please. Help us out. Write letters, send emails, make phone calls, and donate to the tubes and dubes.
Yes,
so
please.
that Glenn and I don't have to foot the big bill for all those things that are coming up here, which we will do if we have to. Because
link is in the comments. Yeah.
the link is in the comments. We'll be posting that in other groups and on Facebook over the next few days. We don't have that much time.
No, we
3
got,
weeks basically.
Yeah, to the 20th. 3 weeks today. Yeah,
3 weeks.
So, and we've raised $225.
Right.
So
Of the what's the goal?
2,000.
2,000.
Yeah.
So we're about a tenth of the way there.
2,000.
We're gonna need some help.
Yeah. It
Oh,
was
dear.
it was 1,700 and change for the socks and 238 for the coffee and hot chocolate. So very close to 2,000.
So if you care at all about my son, help us out with the tubes and dudes, because otherwise he's going to get a chunk of coal and some water for Christmas.
Oh God, yes, yeah. And today's Giving Tuesday, yeah. So
And it's Giving Tuesday today.
It's Giving
So if you're ever
Tuesday,
going to
please.
give,
Doesn't matter.
So is every
$5,
Tuesday-
$10?
is
No, it's
just-
a national
it's
charity day.
It's a once a year.
Yeah, charity. Yeah,
Giving
it's a charity.
Tuesday.
Giving Tuesday, they call it. Yeah, it's all over the news and everything. Today.
Yeah.
It's giving, it's in my emails, and it's Giving Tuesday. So yeah, one of
All
those
right.
things. All right.
I don't know that we have anything else to talk about.
No.
I don't know. So we'll just do a quick summary of the CSP, and then we'll go out there and say,
We'll go
"Hey,
outside.
sit with me for
Sure.
us."
Okay. All right. No problem.
I do this every week, and I know that there's some comments about the repetitiveness of what's going on here. But this is the pursuit of a low barrier access community cannabis store, and on the way to getting that, it's going to be a lot of repetitiveness. We're stuck in the same position, moving forward without too much changing. And so what I like to do on every show is just give a brief summary of what the CSP is, because you may be watching the show and it's the first time and you don't really know what we're talking about when we talk about CSP. The CSP is the Cannabis Substitution Program, And it's been going for, I started putting it together over 6 years ago now. The actual giveaway of high-dose edibles to people didn't start until 6 years ago this coming February. But it's been almost 6 years that we've been doing this. We responded to a public health emergency of overdose deaths because I had prior knowledge with the herb school that we had one block over from here back in 2004 until 2009. I had, or was it 2007, I guess. In any case, it was well over 3 years that we had the herb school there, and I learned, having that, right at Main and Hastings, that cannabis can really help people that are addicted to those hard drugs. That the high-dose edibles especially are very effective as an assistant to people that want to get through withdrawal, and that is the big barrier to getting off of those things. So armed with that knowledge and previous experience, when this particular overdose epidemic hit, at that exact time, the city of Vancouver was involved in trying to license the illegal dispensaries before legalization happened in Canada. They wanted to get ahead of that. They wanted to stop the proliferation of these dispensaries. There was about 180 of them when they decided to do that. And so they took away a whole bunch of the revenue streams and took away the ability to operate if you were close to schools or close to each other, and a whole bunch of different things that they did to try to disrupt the dispensaries that were here. And the taking away of edibles, that these stores couldn't sell edibles, was like the absolute opposite of what needed to happen to address the opioid crisis.
Yeah.
And so
because edibles are so important.
I first went to Vandu because I've had an association with Vandu for a long, long time. I've been a member there, and I've helped them with a lot of different things, and they've helped me with some things over the years. They are the ones that need to be on board if you're going to do something on the downtown east side with respect to the people that are afflicted by drug addiction and poverty. So they were my first stop. I conceived the idea, this has to happen. I went to Vandu. I explained it to their board and got unanimous approval to start this program of high-dose edibles being as easy as possible for people to get. Armed with their support, I went to City Council and explained to them that a bag of edibles, I held up a clear plastic bag with several high-dose edibles in it. I said, this is the real safe supply. And this is what we need to do as a harm reduction initiative during this public health emergency. And I really didn't get any support at all from City Council. I also went to the Vancouver Police Board with the lawyer, Rob Laurie, escorted me there, and we laid it all out for them as well, what we were going to do. And then I waited 2 months to see if we could get City Council on board before we actually started the giveaway. But we had to do it. By that time, I had enough donations that I had received to give out. You got to give them out to people. You can't wait. No. It's like a month before Christmas, and your cousin's got you the big cake bowl that you really want, and you really want to make a big cake right away, and you can't because she's going to make you wait until Christmas for it. I mean, we don't do that. I mean, my friend is not very happy about that. And the whole idea of giving Christmas gifts is to make somebody happy. So if it's going to make them happy to give it to them a month early, give it to them a month early. Why not? Why make somebody wait for something that's going to really help them for another solid month before, just for what? For some arbitrary date? Because it's going to make you happy that you did that? No, you're supposed to make the other person happy. So when you can see that, she's not happy, give her the damn pot. And it was the same thing here. As soon as I had enough donations to give out, I had to give them out. Yeah. You don't want to wait, another month while how many people are going to die? We have 6 people dying every day. I mean, a month from now, we're going to have another 180 dead people just because I decided not to start the program right away, even though I had to. No. So, we started doing it, even though we did not have, the City of Vancouver's approval on it. And that's kind of iffy, to do something like that. But we did. And so the CSP, the Cannabis Substitution Program, gave away high-dose edibles every Saturday for a solid year. And then we moved to every Thursday and Sunday, twice a week, for 2.5 more years. But eventually, into the whole process, 2.5 years since we started, City Council did come along because Dr. M.J. Malloy had written studies and showing the effectiveness and the safety of what we were doing and other things like that. They got on board. They passed a motion to support what we were doing and called it low barrier access. And we met with them and had a nice meeting and decided amongst the counselor and ourselves that we would find a storefront. We would start our program get it off the street, get these poor people out of that lineup that they'd been lining up in for 3.5 years through winter and summer and wind and rain and heat and all the rest of it, snow, and get them into a storefront that's safe for them and be open. So we started 6 days a week, 8 hours a day. Instead of just an hour and a half twice a week for people to line up for hours and wait for. They could come in at their leisure, no big lineups out the door, a safe, welcoming space, and getting for them what was necessary to keep them off them other drugs. So we got the storefront, we started doing that, but instead of city staff coming and assessing us and approving us, city licensing came and said it didn't matter what the councillor said. You can't do this without a provincial license, which by that afternoon turned into a federal license. And so we applied to the federal government well over 2 years ago, September 16th, 2 years ago. And a great application that would be easy for anybody to look at and understand what we're doing here. We really did make it very easy to understand that we're helping people get out of the poison drug supply. We're rescuing people from addiction here, with hundreds of people already rescued under our belt, and all the rest of it, and dozens of interviews that we sent along with our application to Health Canada, letters from Dr. M.J. Malloy, the studies from Dr. M.J. Malloy, a letter from Professor Zachary Walsh, a letter from the local nurse down here. All the harm reduction groups support us and wrote letters on our behalf that we submitted to Health Canada. It's a great application. Wouldn't take a moron very long time to figure out that this is a really good thing, and it needs to be supported during a public health emergency of people dying. But Health Canada are beyond morons. They are corrupt as can be. They don't work for the health of Canadians. They're looking for the financial health of the corporations that are preying on Canadians. That appears to be their job, even though they're paid with our dollars to do that. But certainly their concerns about not supporting what we're doing after almost 6 years now have always only been about the financial health of the government stores and the government legalization. That they don't want to allow low barrier access, which means low prices. That's the biggest barrier, is the high prices to these things. There's numerous other barriers as well, but the barrier of price is the big one for people. And so they're not about to allow low prices for Canadian citizens, because they're all about high prices for government licensed stores that use tax dollars to use a super huge hammer in enforcing out anybody that would threaten the cartel, sell or distribute or produce cannabis. That's the world that we're living in Canada here. That 6 years later, they're still struggling really hard. And to be fair, Mr. Benoit Seguin, the guy in charge of special licensing and exemptions for Health Canada, he has said to me that this is very complicated, and he liked to tell me during our correspondence over the last couple of years that I should rest assured in the knowledge that his team are working diligently on our file every day. But the truth of the matter obviously is that they're not working diligently on signing a piece of paper and allowing us what we need to be able to continue doing what we're doing here. They've been working diligently and as hard as they could, probably around the clock, with a huge team of people to try to figure out how to say no. Because that's the bottom line. They can't allow this. They've obviously made promises to the very rich people who are trying to scam all of Canadians into paying $4,480 at $10 a gram for a simple pound of plant matter that's produced easier and in larger quantities than any other crop that a farmer would bring to market. So they're not concerned about that. They're only concerned about the financial health of this immoral cartel that they've got going here. I mean, I want to clarify, because I have friends who grow cannabis for the connoisseur market, and it's not cheap, and it's not easy. And those people deserve to be rewarded as much as they can be, and as much as the market will bear. And the market does bear for high prices for good cannabis. And that'll always be there. And I'm fine with that. That's not an issue for me at all. The issue for me is that the government is forcing everybody to produce cannabis under those very expensive conditions, and not allowing for just a farmer to to grow some cannabis, either out in his field or in his hybrid greenhouse or whatever, and bringing it to market at prices that would make sense for him and his family to make enough profit to continue.
Local farmers market or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's people, through Prohibition, many people have learned how to grow cannabis.
Yeah.
Why can't they keep growing it? Why can't they grow some cannabis and alleviate some of the financial burdens?
Yeah.
Our government should be finding all kinds of ways for us to alleviate this extreme pressure that we're under financially here. It is not cheap anymore to live in the world. The prices are continuing to go up, and they're already way too high for the food that we need to consume, for gasoline, which we shouldn't be consuming in vehicles anyway. That's a whole other story. But we're living in very expensive times right now, and our government, our public servants should be finding ways that allow for Canadians to be able to live comfortably as best they can. They should be providing you with a seed kit and instructions to grow some cannabis for all of those people who can't, and to get it to them at some sort of a reasonable cost to them that puts some money in your pocket. Why not? It's a great economic driver.
Yeah. Grow hemp, make clothes.
Grow hemp, make clothes, grow cannabis medicine, and help people with stress and headaches and sleep disorders and pain.
Help the environment.
All of that. It just makes too much sense, obviously.
Yeah.
And what doesn't make sense is why we would be having any difficulty in getting public servants to recognize the science, because we have the science. There's no question that the science supports cannabis as a medicine, as all the things that we're touting it to be able to do. It helps people sleep. It helps them with pain. It distracts them from stress and anxiety. It helps them get through withdrawal. It helps to replace the use of those hard drugs that are killing people. All of that stuff is for real. It's for true. And the government just can't seem to figure it out. Don't see it. I don't know why you think that works. It doesn't work. Look here. Said back in the 30s, it makes people violent and insane. We're going with that. They're a bunch of idiots. They're a bunch of murderers. I'm told that I should be a little nicer to Health Canada if I want them to give me that piece of paper with a signature. Well, they don't deserve nice anymore.
No.
How many of our friends, families, brothers and sisters and sons and daughters have died because Health Canada will not allow for low barrier access cannabis stores in your community? How many people have died because of that? I can't count it. I don't know. I don't know how to calculate that, but I'll tell you, there's a whole bunch.
Yeah, there's no way to count it.
You can't calculate it, but I'll tell you, there's a whole bunch. Because if there was easy access to high-dose edibles through storefronts in communities all across Canada, I'm telling you, a lot of people who want to get off those hard drugs, those street drugs, those opioids, would be going for that. They want off. We got so many people out here struggling with addiction telling us, we're just waiting for treatment. We just need some treatment. We need some rehab. We need some detox. But there's huge lineups and you can't get in. And even if you get in, they don't really do the job for you. They get like a less than 10% success rate. But they want off.
Yeah, and cannabis is letting them get off.
Yeah.
They don't have to go into treatment. They can just eat some edibles and sleep the day and be relaxed and not have the sweats or the pains.
Join the ranks of so many people that say cannabis saved my life, you know?
Yeah.
You?
Yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
Lots of people.
Lots of people.
Lots of people. I was headed down a bad path. I did lots of cocaine in my life that could have gone crazy.
Oh my God, no treatment center. You're going to be less people in treatment centers. They're going to make less money. Oh no, we can't have that. We're out here to make more money, not less money.
And if you want some insight into that, I've mentioned it on the show before, go watch Body Brokers.
Yeah.
You can find it on YouTube. You can find it on the internet. It's a great little docu-movie about a real situation that's going on where governments have decided that they will use taxpayer dollars to help people go through treatment. So a whole bunch of treatment places popped up that would offer those services. The costs are incredible. They want like thousands of dollars per day per bed for people, but government's paying for it. Don't worry about it. And government doesn't care. It's not their money. It's our money. We don't really get it, so nobody's really all that upset about it. Mm-hmm. But the treatment industry is a multi-billion, the tens of billion-dollar industry that is not there motivated to get people better. It's motivated to fill their beds and to keep people going through the revolving door as many times as they can because they're collecting big dollars on all those people every time. watch Body Brokers, and you'll get a real good sense of what's happened with the treatment industry and why they're really not allies of ours here in trying to get people off of those drugs. And it's quite disgusting as well. And then there's Dope Sick, another great series that was on Disney, where it's a glimpse into the Purdue Pharma company that came up with OxyContin and how they falsified the science, they lied, they schemed, and mostly they got a whole bunch of doctors in North America to go to OxyContin as a go-to for whatever it was that was ailing people with pain and what have you. And they got so many people addicted to those things, and that's what's driving all of this stuff that we're trying to deal with here. A couple of things for homework is watch Dope Sick and watch Body Brokers, and they get up to speed on what's going on here. And the only other side of it that I'd mention, I don't have a movie for you on this one, although I think Gabor Mate has done some good work with respect to what drives addiction in people. But these are not bad people that are experiencing karma from having lived bad lives and made bad choices. These are, for the most part, they're the abused children of our society that were traumatized early on in life, that were not born or given the right tools to deal with the trauma that they've suffered, and they're just responding to that trauma as best they can. They get preyed upon by the drug dealers, they get addicted to these hard drugs, they cycle down into poverty and all the rest that goes on with all of that. And they are not people that we as a society should be turning our backs on. They are not people that we should be stigmatizing and deciding that these are criminals, these are lowlifes, these are bad people, they're drug addicts. These are our sons and daughters, brothers and sisters that just didn't have a fair shake at life, that some traumas happened to them. They weren't born into a family that had the right coping mechanisms being taught to their kids. There are all the other reasons that people don't deal with shit that happens to them. And many of those people, the proof is in the pudding, end up down here living lives of misery that they don't want, that they wish they didn't have going on, but it's really almost always no fault of their own at all. So please try to understand all of that when you're thinking about the people that are on the streets and look like, they're just low-life, derelict, bad people. When, if you get to know them like we have 268 people that have become members of our program that came to us drug sick and looking like the very people we're talking about. And we've come to know them, we've come to understand them, we've heard their stories, we get that, they just had a bad lot in life, and they deserve our compassion more than the average person. They certainly deserve the effort, money, and time and compassion of our public servants more than the average, ordinary, normal person that has the tools to be able to live their lives and function properly in this world. So for those people that, for whatever reason, don't have those tools and can't function properly and are stuck, we really need to be compassionate towards them, and we need to do some things to help them. So the Cannabis Substitution Program was that. We are doing government's work. Government should really be providing us a piece of paper with a signature on it that lets us have the dignity of providing our service from a storefront and giving people a safe space to come into and get what they need to help them in their lives. It is so disgusting that our government is actively trying to prevent the poor and the sick from getting relief. It's really disgusting. And they stand up there and they flap their gums about how much they're doing based on the millions of dollars that they're spending to help these people.
Yeah.
But those millions of people aren't making it to the people on the street for the most part. Those millions of dollars are going into the pockets of CEOs of different groups and other things like that. They drive fancy vehicles, they live in nice houses, and they come down here and pity the poor people that live on the street and can't seem to get off those drugs that they didn't want to be on in the first place. All the rest of it. If you'd had my experience, if you'd have spent the last several years down here doing this, for me it goes back 18 and a half years from when we opened the herb school, and I really started to understand what this is all about down here. And I was from a mainstream family in suburban British Columbia here, and I'd heard all the stigmatization and all the other things that the government does to justify their war on these people and the war on people that would dare to use cannabis instead of pharmaceuticals and alcohol. you hear all of that. That's what most people just believe. They're sophisticated, these media outlets, in how they tell that story.
Oh yeah.
But then you come down here and you find out that the truth is a little different than that.
Yeah.
And we should really be helping these people. So that's what we do. We were in the storefront, as I said, to continue the story until the city said, oh, well, we can't support you until Health Canada does. So we applied to Health Canada, not just with that application that I mentioned, but also with an application for an emergency temporary exemption from the cannabis laws, so that we wouldn't have to worry about getting arrested, which we did, or getting robbed, or freezing our butts off, or going through heat domes, and all the things that have happened.
Burned out.
And burned out.
Burned out.
Broken into, robbed, burned out, arrested. All of these things are all on the plate of Health Canada, who have been derelict in their duty to support this harm reduction initiative that we have going on here. Being right in the middle of it, I can't tell you how disgusted I am by it all. It really drives me every day that we need to do something about this. We can't. I don't want to live in a world where I thought I had a good country, and I like many of my country mates, but my government scares the hell out of me.
Yeah. And
now, because I'm right in the middle of trying to get what is the most reasonable option going during a public health emergency, and we can't get that approved by government, all because of greed. It's sad, man. It's so sad.
It is.
So because of that, we were evicted 5.5 months into having the storefront. Our landlord, who loves us and didn't want to evict us, but on the advice of his lawyer, based on threats from the city, felt like he had no choice. We thought we could win an adjournment for 6 months to get the licenses, but the judge, Justice Majawa, saw it differently. He decided that we were there with unclean hands.
Yes,
that we've been breaking the law to save these people's lives, and in his opinion, that wasn't acceptable. And he gave us 7 days to vacate the storefront, to our great shock. But I bought an RV because we can't stop doing what we're doing. We can't go back to Vandu. We can't have lineups on the street for hours at a time anymore. We will not do that. We're not going backwards. We're going to move forward one way or the other. So I bought an RV, and we've been running our little store with low cost and no cost cannabis for the last 2 years, and actually we're at the end of the month now. 2 years and 1 month that we've been in an RV, and just waiting, just continuing to wait until Health Canada does the right thing. Unable to stop doing what we're doing, feeling that we're righteous in what we're doing. We've been charged with selling cannabis without a license, and yet we were told initially by City Council in that meeting that they would license us, that they would assess what we were doing, if we were meeting the needs of the neighborhood like we were, that they would license us, but they haven't yet. We were told by Health Canada 3 months after we submitted our application in a meeting with Health Canada, myself and my lawyer, that they would have licenses for us in early January coming up. That was 2 years ago, this coming January. So in my estimation, two things. One, we are not operating without a license. We are operating with a license pending that we've been promised by both the municipal and the federal level of government. And the second one is that we can't stop doing what we're doing.
No.
We started this before there was any legalization. There was no licenses to apply for. We just knew it was the right thing, and we did it. And once we started doing it, people started to rely on us. People would line up, the same people, every time we were there. They would line up to get their high-dose edibles. Once we moved into the storefront, we registered all those people. We took their contact information, and they became members. And now they can get 420 milligrams every 4 days, free of charge. We can't stop doing that.
No.
We can't stop doing that. In all good conscience, these people would be put back at risk of rejoining the poison drug supply. And they've told us that, and the doctors have told us that. So I don't think that we have any choice but to continue doing what we're doing. And I think that what we're doing is righteous, the right thing, and fully justified by governments who have given us promises all the way along here. We've tried every step of the way to do what we were required to do it right. and we'll see what the courts say about all of this. I hope the courts don't say, Mr. Magnuson, you're going away for a little while where you can't cause any more harm, and we're going to shut your program down and nobody's going to get any access anymore. I really hope that's not the case, because I'll come out of whatever confinement they put me in with guns ablazing and doing it all over again
There'll be somebody
10 times harder than I did before.
While you're in jail.
Well, I think so too. It won't end with me.
You cut off the head of the snake and they're coming, right?
We got lots of other snakeheads around here.
Yeah, a lot of other snakeheads, yeah.
And those people would be very upset
Yep.
if our government and our courts actually go ahead and do that. So we'll see what happens. I explained to Health Canada there's a lot of potential positive currency politically involved in helping us and supporting us with that piece of paper. And the opposite is true as well. That if they were to continue to oppress us and oppose us and put obstacles up in front of us and try to stop us, that there's a lot of very negative political currency that's going to come out of that as well. There's a lot of media that's interested in what we're doing here, and they're just waiting to see, like we're waiting to see, what the results will be. But if it's negative, and if we get a bad judgment from a bad judge in a courtroom, then I suspect you'll see lots of it in the media talking about what we're doing here, talking about a corrupt government and all the rest of it. So bring it on, Health Canada and the federal government. Go ahead. Give it all you got to try to stop us and see how that works for you, because I am telling you it's not going to work for you at all. I won't be deterred by a 6-month jail sentence. I won't be deterred by warnings or threats at all, because none of those are more powerful than the moral obligation that I feel to the people that have become family to us, the hundreds of people that we've rescued from addiction here. I am not going to turn my back on those people unless I am absolutely dragged away kicking and screaming and unable to do it. So there you go. Give it your best. Try to take me out if you want. But I, for one, won't be quitting unless you force it somehow. 6 months in jail isn't going to do it.
No.
So you may as well give me a longer sentence than that. You may as well lock me up for life or kill me or something, because, I'm not going to go away. I can't. I can't, because, my parents did a pretty good job of raising somebody who cares and who wants to do the right thing. And I'm not going to capitulate with a bunch of corrupt politicians and corporate illegal
We're going to
parasites.
continue to save lives, yeah.
Yeah, I know what's right and what's wrong. My parents instilled that in me.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to go along with a government that says I'm wrong when they're wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
I know better. So that's where we are.
We're going to go outside.
We got the RV. We operated in the RV. We had all those bad things happen. The worst of which was 2.5 weeks ago. Somebody firebombed the RV after threatening us the day before, even though there was no threats about why or who. Just they were trying to break in, and on their way, running away, said, "I'm going to firebomb your RV," and that was done. Whether by that person or not, we don't really 100% know, but that was done. And so I'm very excited to be able to take you all outside on a very cold winter day in fall.
First winter day of
winter day in
2023
fall
in the city. Yes.
I'll tell you, I thought yesterday was winter, even
So
without
are we
the snow.
going to call it the RV or the Weedabago?
Well, it's got many names.
Well, I put Weedabago in
Weedabago, that's
in the title.
That's what we're right by the courthouse here. So
Yeah.
we're half a block from 222 Main Street, the big courthouse here, the provincial court, and the underground parking or the parking for many of the prosecutors, judges, and other people is right down the street here. So they're walking by every day, a couple times. They have escorts. They have security escorts that take them back and forth. But, many of them are quite friendly to us and acknowledge us with, a hi or, have a good day or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was really cool that this one fellow who I know is a judge at the court was on his way being escorted to his car. And what did he say about it? The Winnebago? The Weedabago?
I don't know.
Yeah, what did he say about it?
I wasn't there.
That he was really sad to see the Weedabago gone. That's what he
that
said.
it was gone. Yes.
Yeah, he was really sad that the Weedabago was gone.
Yeah, well, I hope we get that judge.
So yeah,
Yeah.
or any of them that walk by and see what we're doing here, maybe because they get a little glimpse into what's happening. If they even take just a moment to listen to some of the comments, we get them all day long.
Yeah.
This stuff is allowing me to use less of the hard drugs. This has got me right off of the hard drugs. This is allowing me to sleep when I couldn't sleep before. All the rest of the comments, it's a huge amount of very positive comments that we get all the time, that we've submitted to Health Canada, but they never come here to to
check
see
it
for
out.
themselves, you know,
Yep.
to sit with us for an hour and just listen to what people say.
It's just like we were talking about before. We're just little people.
Yeah, we're just little people.
We're just little people from Ottawa. Right?
We don't count because our bank accounts aren't sky high.
We're disposable, right? There's
Yeah.
just
not rich enough.
7,999,999,999,999 people right out there.
I don't think there's
beside us.
trillions in there, but
Whatever.
yes.
Well,
There's almost 8 billion people.
billion. Okay, is trillion more than a billion?
A trillion is 1,000 billion.
Okay, I don't know. Okay.
A billion is 1,000 million, and a trillion is 1,000 billion.
Okay, so
it's a big number.
It's a big number.
It's a really, really
the
big
biggest
number.
one is something starts with a Z.
Wow, there's
As a Google or something.
There's big numbers.
That's the biggest one.
I'm not going to try to mess with that.
Maybe somebody here will know us.
I want to tell the truth, which means lots of times I have to keep my mouth shut because if I'm
Yeah.
not sure, I don't want to be saying stuff I'm not
Still,
sure about.
8 billion people, that's a lot.
8 billion. We passed that. I think it was on a Tuesday, on a show day, a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And you know, it's an inaccurate number. The planet's a big place, but based on all their calculations, that's the date that they figured that somewhere on the planet that day would have been born the.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, it's just based on their calculations.
because
We don't
we
have
have
proper
statistics.
surveys of everybody.
Oh, really?
No, in Canada they have statistics on most people, but a lot of people still don't fill those things out, so they really don't know.
But I think that the world is modern enough to keep records to, you know.
No, there's lots of places in the world where they don't have good census information on how many people they have.
I wonder
how
if the
many
birth
babies
of
are
the
being
human
born.
race is a constant also. Like if there is one every minute or
Oh,
one
less
every
than that.
15 seconds.
Oh,
I'm just saying, hypothetically.
You can look at those. Those are on the internet.
Maybe it's one every 137 seconds.
It might be.
It might be.
I think it's less than a minute that there's another baby born. Well,
So that's how
much
they do
less than a minute.
calculations, yeah.
You can see those on the internet. The's clocks that
Yes.
count up how
Yeah.
many people are being born and count down how many people have died.
Yeah.
And the one clock with how many people are dying is running slower than the clock of how many people are being born. And that's why our population continues to increase. It's more than doubled in my lifetime.
So we're
on the planet here.
we're living longer.
And we're living longer.
Yes, that's what it is, right? That's why
That-
it's slowed down.
part of
right?
that.
Yeah.
Part of that too.
Yeah.
It helps. All right. Well, so we are going to go outside and visit the RV.
All right, camera.
Pretty darn cold out there. I'm not sure how long we're going to stay.
Yeah. I'm sure they've got it warmed up for you.
Inside, it should be all right.
Yeah. Oh, I know, right? I gotta do up my jacket, put my toque on.
So the weekly weather report from Vancouver from the THC Show is winter is here in fall.
Yeah.
I don't drink. I got them all yesterday, although there might be more. They'll give you a joint though. So yeah,
right.
it is a snowy.
There's the snow,
wet
yeah.
day. Not fun for people who are trying to live on the streets, I'll tell you.
No,
It
but
must
there's
be
a lot
really
of
hard.
warming centers. I know that they're announcing that we're open
Yeah.
today, so.
Yeah, as
Yeah.
well they should be. They should have been open last night. Hi there.
I see somebody try
You're on
taking.
Pot TV.
Hey, I see somebody try taking over my number.
Oh, did they?
Yeah,
Yeah, we got a
just-
lot of that going on.
Just somebody just before me tried to take over 69. And
I
you know
see.
I've been 69 since you guys.
That's a
moved
number
in
you
here.
wouldn't forget.
No.
Well, I wanted 420 and you said no.
No,
So I took
you know.
69.
Yeah, there you go.
instead.
Second favorite number.
You know what? Actually, you're right. Because B13 and 069 won me $2,000 at bingo.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nice.
So if I had a choice of 13 or 69, I would have taken either one. So I had a choice of 69, and that's the one I picked.
Nice.
Very good. Will you carry on? Have a great day.
I'm glad to see you guys got a new RV.
Yeah, we are too. It's very exciting.
I was so sad when I seen that post of it getting burned.
Yeah, us too.
Hopefully people will leave that one alone.
I hope so. I'm not leaving it there overnight though. I take it away every night.
Oh, good.
So far,
We're on
anyhow.
target.
Yeah. Well, in fact,
Yeah, have a great day.
so she's alluding to a problem that we now have because when the RV went up in flames, it took with it a lot of the records of the people that are members here. Thankfully, we know them for the most part, and in fact, we even know what their numbers are. The people that are operating the CSP for us are pretty good about knowing people and their numbers. But we do have a number of people that are coming here and saying that they're members and coming up with just some random number. And, we're trying to figure out what to do about all of that. We don't turn anybody away, as I told you before, but they sometimes don't get the full 420, they just get a muffin until the next day or something like that. But we have issues because we did lose a lot of our records, a lot of the data that we had been collecting for Health Canada, because we consider this a research center, whether they do or not. That was also lost first with the police raid and now with the fire. So we're struggling to be efficient with what we're doing here, but we are going to continue to do it one way or the other. We're going in fast.
We're going in fast.
See, my sign has been turned around a little bit there.
There you go.
Yeah, we're going in fast. Hey, Adam.
Hey, Ellen. Hey.
Oh, the second sign is not there. I'm not sure what's going on with that. No, I think good. What's going on with my sign here? Yeah, I know this. There's the identity. Blue one. Yeah. I'm gonna put the sign on.
All right.
Because I came up with a way yesterday to put it on there where it won't blow away.
Well, I mean, you see
Attach just the edge of this, which,
Yeah.
which keeps it from going underneath, which is what it was doing. I go onto this guy here, which catches the top, and then I go over to here. Is that where I was?
What was that?
Not sure where I hooked it on that last time. But
we should burn this in the morning.
That will do.
daylight.
That'll do. That'll hold it.
that'll hold it. I can
Yeah.
stick underneath there now.
Yeah.
Should be fine.
We're going
So this
in.
is still our CSP door.
You want to go in?
We're going in.
Have it in. Have a look around.
Oh,
Stand over for a minute or two. It's all good.
Hey, Ted. Hey.
it's warm in here. Nice.
There's some warmth in here.
Oh.
I feel like crawling right into that heater, though. Somebody's puking.
All right. I'm just gonna sit here, I
Here
guess.
we are. We have a little more headroom. The bench is nice.
Oh yeah.
We got shag carpet on the ceiling, so I mean, we're really happening now. This is a step up.
Ted
from where
Scully
we
of
were.
security.
Yeah, Ted's been helping us out for a little while here as well. And so this is it. This is the Healing Wave RV, the Winnebago, if you
I'm
will.
gonna pan around and show everybody up. There we go. And we got the nice area back here at the door.
We're just kind of figuring
A
stuff
lot
out.
of shag, yeah.
Yeah,
I love the shag. It's all clean too. It's nice.
So we don't have a window on the side that works. We're going to have to replace that with a window that does work. At this point, we've been providing our service out the driver's door, which is a nice seat for the person doing that. They get
Yeah.
to sit in the captain's chair.
But it's,
Yeah.
it hinders things a little bit.
It does.
But,
It's-
the comfort of it, though, is much better.
It's nice
Yeah, it's a lot more
captain's chair,
comfortable.
right? Yeah.
And but we're figuring some stuff out here, how to make this all work. So far, so good. But we do need some modifications on some
Way
things.
better than the tent, eh? A lot warmer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot warmer.
Yeah,
I've heard
today
that quite a few times today. Imagine if you guys were still in the tent.
Yeah.
today would have been a really horrible day under the tent for
Yes,
sure.
yes.
It's only warm enough for a banana hammock. Maybe a t-shirt.
No, we were 2 weeks under the tent before I could get this RV, and they were some very cold days out there. You know, a big shout out to my staff of volunteers that made that all work every day. That was pretty incredible. So we're going to continue on like this for a while. There was something that I started to talk about a little bit, and that was that case in Saskatchewan with Warnicky, Seaman, and Martin. That people deserve to have a storefront, and they deserve to have high dose edibles in whatever form they want. But what that should do is it should disband the CSU, whose sole job it's been is to make sure that Canadians do not have a medical dispensary storefront to walk into, and that nobody's going to be providing high dose edibles to people. The CSU needs to all resign, be fired, or disbanded in some way. They should be ashamed of themselves, as we've been saying right from the start. That task that they were given to shut down access to medical storefronts is about as disgusting a job as a person could have. And so I'm hoping that when it sinks in a little bit about what the courts are saying with respect to our constitutional right and our charter rights to access, that the CSU will be no more, and that there should be some apologies to people. And all of these things that are in the courts right now, they should all be just set aside, and there should be a repeal of the cannabis laws. The Cannabis Act needs to be struck down, and we need to really rethink what they want to do. Using the criminal law to do with the cannabis file is an atrocious thing, and should stop. So that's kind of the show. You know, we've gone over everything, I think, as we've needed to. As I always like to end the show with is that we need help. That you know, this whole journey that we're on is a journey for everyone. It's a journey for freedom. It's a journey to get low barrier access community cannabis stores, but there's a much larger issue of freedom in general that goes with that. And so if you can get passionate about this, and I think you can, I think you should, then you need to find something to do about that. Not just be passionate in silence and complicit in that we don't do anything to stop all of this. You need to do something. We all need to do something. We need to be creative about it. You need to try to make it enjoyable and have some fun trying to change the world. And so write letters, send emails, make phone calls, talk to people, phone into open line radio shows, contact the media, all the different things that you can think of, and there's a lot more than that could try to help get us the freedoms that we need to have so that our next generations of people can be secure in how they live their lives. So,
And this program could be saving one of your loved ones, not just the people on the downtown east side. Once this expands, it could be reaching out to somebody that you know and you love that's having this problem right now. So it's not
help us
just
with tubes
here.
and dubs.
Yeah.
Help us with letters and emails and phone calls and all the rest of that. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to everybody else as you go through life. Don't do random acts of kindness. Do consistent acts of kindness. And the most important thing, as always, as you're going through your life, have as much fun as you can. We'll see you next week.